Alrighty, guys, welcome back into the AOC Malta Cyber Series Masters between Edge and Washed Up Kids. We saw quite a one-sided match in that last game where Edge was able to really steamroll their way to victory in that first game, and we're hoping here to see Washed Up Kids if they have an answer for what Edge is bringing to this game. Ender, I gotta ask, what can Washed Up Kids do in this game in order to better prepare themselves and really be able to come in and fight well against this monster that is Edge?
I mean, all I can really say is that they are probably going to want to get their hands on the Rengar in the first rotation. Other than that, I really hope they pull something out that neither me or you expect, because with the way that Game 1 went, you're not really going to win by playing it to the book. You're really just not going to be able to do it that way, because Edge, just as individual players, are so talented that you've got to do something unconventional if you want to pull out with a win. And Teemo ban, I mean, that's unconventional.
You gotta get rid of that. And Rengar being banned away, so that way we don't see that from Bandicoot. Oh, I thought they were gonna walk in that Annie first rotation. I was about to be like, whoa.
Oh boy. We saw Callista become...
we did see Callista between Unicorns of Love and
the Flash Wolves.
And they won. They won with it. And that honestly shocked me, seeing that not only was Callista picked, but that they actually won with it.
It's funny because Callista did go from being such a dominating pick that was just it just grabbed every single game, to falling completely off the face of the earth after seeing quite a few nerfs in a row. And Washed Up Kids, I don't think you want to lock in the crazy stuff early on in the draft. I think you want to pick some things that can maybe flex around or switch between.
Whoa, but we getting outrageous in here. We have Tarek locked in first rotation.
Was that big of a surprise to you, Magic?
Yeah,
You're losing
your
mind
over Tarek picked first rotation because he's so easily counterpicked. You get a range support, you get a Zyro, you get even a Misfortune support, because it can just outrange him and push him out of lane so greatly.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the answer is to it. It sets up for a nice team fight from Washed Up Kids, having the invulnerability. Definitely not to be overlooked if you are on Edge, but if you pick the assassins that they liked with the Rengar, then maybe we do see the Tarek not be as effective, because it does take a while for the invulnerability to come into effect, and if you have a lot of burst damage from Edge, they can ignore that entirely.
Yeah, but we're not going to see any sort of indication what they're going to draft, because we do see the Ezreal and Alistar picked again for Panda and for Caitlyn Snow. Not too surprising. That was a very strong lane that they had in that bot lane. And going up against the Tarek, they could have gone for the counterpick matchup with the range support, like I said, against the Tark, but they opted just to go for what was comfortable.
Yeah, if it isn't broken, don't fix it, is the name of the game for them. And one of the champions that did sneak its way through the draft, the first rotation in the bans, is the Syndra. That's going to go over to Oxide in that middle lane, and maybe on a more aggressive champion. He can look to control the middle lane and try and control the game from there on forward. It's the Tarek Twitch combination. That is awesome, because Twitch can come in with the ambush and have the invulnerability stacked on top of him, so he can basically face tank as this gigantic AoE high damage AD carry.
Yeah, also, you didn't even mention the best part, which is the early game with the ambush and the Bastion with the Dazzle, that you can get a really easy Dazzle.
Yeah.
Even now with the changes to the ambush, he's still easily able to get in that range for that Dazzle.
Yeah, still very strong. It's not invisibility. It's now camouflage. Works very similarly to the Evelyn passive. you know how that one goes down. And already the Washed Up Kids with something different, something new here for these guys, looking much more aggressive in their lanes. And while Tarek Twitch isn't going to be the strongest 2 versus 2 lane fighting face to face, there are some nice mechanics and some nice interactions between the two champions that they can use to make some plays later on in the game.
Ooh. Now we see Jace and Fizz picked up for the side of Edge, and whoa, didn't even realize that Ivern got locked in right away. So we got Bandicoot bringing in Ivern, bringing in that giant tree man, seeing if he can I am Groot his way around this rift. And I actually like Ivern in the current meta. I think he's a great pickup because he kind of does stop a lot of what tanks want. Not tanks, but assassins want to do with the shields, with the Daisy, with just his all over the place weirdness.
Yeah, pretty much, and that's not too big of a surprise. The interesting thing to me is over on Edge, where does the Jace go? Where does the Fizz go? Because we've seen Fizz come back into play in solo queue and whatnot, and we've seen it both in the middle lane as well as in the top lane, and kind of that tanky bruisery thing. We've seen that. We've seen just the pure AP variations. There's just a lot of different ways that Edge's team composition can flip around right now. But what we do know is that while Washed Up Kids tried to draft some pretty aggressive lanes, and they did in the top and middle lane, Edge just go right back at them. They will fight fire with fire with the Jace lock-in, with the Fizz lock-in.
It's going to be really interesting. They're hovering the Maokai, and they're hovering a bunch of people that aren't junglers. Okay.
Fizz jungle?
Aurelia
jungle?
Aurelia jungle.
No, I think it's gonna be Aurelia top lane, because Aurelia actually does quite well up against the Gnar. Similarly to the Kennen matchup, if you can get on top of him, you're gonna do quite well. And the only time that Armia will ever run into trouble is if Van Cleef can somehow get an advantage early on. Then once he gets his frozen mallet, his black cleaver, he's gonna come online. But last time around, that was the same deal with Van Cleef's Fiora. It just happened that Armia played the lane phase so much better. And Edge, this is what they're going for. They are looking for domination across the board in these individual lanes.
Yeah, and it's definitely shocking to see that Fizz jungle coming out. And it's not terrible. It's not the best, but it's not terrible. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes about these games. Definitely going to be relying on the laners to bring the CC, hoping that Armia can get that stun with the lockdown from her E, and then maybe even have Pickleshore jump in and get the knockback towards their tower, so that way Washed Up Kids can just get in there and be the one dealing damage.
Yeah, no, Edge did not draft a team composition here. They drafted a ton of individual power picks that are looking to dominate and crush the game. That's what they did last time around with a strong 5 versus 5, and maybe the lanes go even better for them this time around. And that's kind of the funny thing too, because we were looking towards Washed Up Kids to come out with something new, with something creative here, and it turned out being just the one and only Washed Up Kid to pull out the Fizz jungle.
Yeah, and I will say that about Edge, they definitely can play all over the place. It's really hard to kind of ban them out, because they can bring out weird things like the Fizz jungle, have the Jace go mid lane, Armia in the top lane with that Aurelia, and it's even great in looking at this team comp, because they have two really good, like 3 AD focused people with Panda Opa, Pickleshore, and Armia, but then they also have Washed Up Kid being on that Fizz, who's going to be probably more AP focused, more AP heavy, going in on that. So they still have a good mix of damage all over the place.
Yeah, if last game was any indication, then I expect the kid there to be going full AP on that Fizz, and it's gonna be a fun one to watch. That's one of the things that you get when you have all these aggressive lanes going head to head. It is going to be an absolute bloodbath during this early game, and honestly, within the chaos, Washed Up Kids could be able to find an advantage. If they can get any of those solo lanes swinging in their favor, that can really give them an advantage, give them something to work with as they progress through the game, because last time around, they just lost everywhere. Top, mid, bottom, jungle. If they can somehow find an advantage, put it onto Oxide or Van Cleef, that is going to be possibly what they need to turn things around this time.
Yeah, and They really do have to hope that they don't get too far behind, or they can stay even so they can get to team fights, because they have a really good team fight comp, especially with the Tark. Tark just being the one that is the glue that puts their team fight together in these situations. But Bandicoot does have a good engage for his whole team, with the Q being able to bring Rumandu and Van Cleef up to the front line. All the while you have Ventus and Oxide in the background being able to just dish out tons of damage. But they got to make it there. And that's going to be the hard part that they showed that they really weren't able to get to last time. And if we do see Edge bringing in that great macro play again, the great rotations, great tower dives, we're probably going to see something similar happen to like last game, this game.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just said it right there. Washed Up Kids, they've got these two really strong backliners for the later game. But Edge, they've got 3, maybe even 4 members that want to dive straight on back there. And they have a ton of burst. So the Tarek pick, you were concerned about them locking it in as a first rotation. Well, Edge, they worked around it. And instead of bringing a lot of sustained damage necessarily to the team fights, they have a ton of burst locked in on the likes of a Fizz, a Jace, and Aurelia.
Yeah. And yeah, that's why I didn't like the Tarek picked first rotation. Really got under my skin because it can be so easily countered. It's not necessarily something you want to show so quickly. But really quickly, before we do get into this game, just want to make a quick shout out to our sponsors, AOC Gaming Go, Malta Tourism Authority, Esports Gaming.bet, Miney, GT Omega Racing, and the Gamers Lounge. Thank you so much for that. And also thank you to Kurt Prime, one of our admins behind the scenes, definitely doing his job, doing everything he can to make sure we can bring this to you guys. So everyone give him a great thanks to us in the chat.
Interestingly enough, Army is actually taking, not going for the Fervor of Battle. He is going for the Warlord's Bloodlust. And Fervor did get some changes, but it still feels like the better mastery to take on Aurelia, but just adding in on that sustain that he already gets from his He-10 style right there. Just once again looking to dominate in this lane, trading off a little bit of damage for the added sustain, the added benefits from that.
Yeah, that could be what he wants. He just wants more sustain. They don't necessarily need more damage. If you look at their team comp, they have such a really strong team comp when
That's fair to say.
when it comes to assassination. So we are loading up onto the Rift. So would you like to introduce the first team?
Yep, Washed Up Kids. That's going to be your blue team in this game 2. They need to battle back and push this one, win this one to send us to a game 3. And it's going to start with Van Cleef in the top lane. Bandicoot in the jungle. Oxide 404 at mid. Nolventus on AD carry with Rumandu over on support.
And on the red side, we have Edge looking to finish this series really quickly. In the top lane, we have Armia, the jungler being the Washed Up Kid, not the Washed Up Kids, but just the single one. Picklesaur in the mid lane, Panda Opa, the AD carry, and Caitlyn Snow as their support.
And once again, no early tactics coming out from these guys, but really the key thing for me this game is to watch the junglers. What are they going to be doing? Where are they going to be pathing? And if you didn't tell, there is a little nice red ward on the blue buff from Edge that will spot out exactly where Bandicoot is going to be. And the great thing about it is that when Bandicoot returns, if that ward is still up, it's going to give even more knowledge to Edge as to how he's been pathing through the jungle.
Yeah. It should be able to help them a lot at pathing. Ooh, we're having a bit of an issue. Here comes the pause. Always a tournament. What is a tournament if you don't have a pause? So, like I said, we just had
efficient. That's what it is.
Efficiency, yes, but that's not a true tournament, man. Come on, even IEM had a pause about every single game or two.
Let's not get started on IEM pauses. Oh boy, that was tragic to actually watch, and thankfully our pauses last a little bit shorter than the ones in Oakland did.
Yeah, those were some funny pauses to watch too. And right now we do see a lot of bowling around in the bot lane. Rumandu trying to show why Tarek is good into these melee matchups, because if we do see Alistar try to go in to try to get that proc from the Relic Shield, then he's just going to be stunned up, going to take a little bit of damage coming in from both Ventus and from Rumandu.
Yeah, and the pathing here from Bandicoot, a little bit interesting. He went blue, wolves, red buff, smited that, and then made his way back over towards his jungle. Definitely not standard for the Ivern, I'd say, as usually we see them clear out one side of their jungle and then work their way back. Just going top to bottom, bottom to top, over and over again, just to maximize the efficiency right there.
Cleef, though. He's going and putting a lot of pressure on the army and forcing out a flash. And we saw this last game that Van Cleef does do a good job in the early part of the game and bowling around Armia. But the problem is once Armia starts getting some levels and is able to start fighting back, that we see Van Cleef have a lot of issues. And there's another flash in the mid lane, Picklesaur being the one flashing this time.
Yeah, a lot of summoner spells going down from Edge here, which is not a good sign for them when they did draft for these lanes, and when top lane and bottom lane are such knife fights. But Armia, he's even still going for the trades.
And I talked about this. Armia is getting some levels, so he's not afraid to put some pressure back. And took a good chunk there. The hyper being really effective with that third proc and almost taking down Armia.
Absolutely right there. Very, very close from him. And Armia definitely going to want to recall and teleport back into this lane. He's got the Warlord's Bloodlust for the added sustain, but not nearly enough to hold on for another minion wave before recalling. And that's going to be a pretty awkward base for him as well. Going to pick up a Control Ward as well as a Ruby Crystal. And it's very different from last game where he did have that early advantage, went for the high aggression build with the double Doran's ring on the Maokai. This time he's on a more aggressive champion, but he's being restrained by Van Cleef's dominance in this early laning phase.
Yeah, and now we're seeing a fight going up in the top lane. Here's Bandicoot. They're using the bush, trying to get the proc. Washed Up Kid is in the area. Kid's gonna get the first. Actually, Armia getting the first kill onto Bandicoot, and that's the thing with that assassin on that Fizz. He's able to bring so much to the table. Now they're looking for Van Cleef. They do get the stun from Armia onto Van Cleef, and look at the damage. They're going to be able to get that. That's 2 kills going over to Armia.
Is Van Cleef's flash button broken? There was no respect from him. Could have flashed out much, much earlier and lived to tell the tale about that one. That's exactly what Edge were looking for. Flipping around the advantages, putting Armia miles above Van Cleef, who was having a good time in that 1v1. Now it's going to be almost impossible for him to win out once Armia recalls.
And this might be a dive. They're looking for a dive. Here they come. They get a lot of damage, and there's a flash from Van Cleef, flash from Kid. They get another kill on to Van Cleef, who teleported back. So now he's talking about it being at a disadvantage. He's just in a hole now.
Well, the lane's over for Van Cleef. It actually is over. Not only did Armia get double buffs, got first blood, got a couple of kills and an assist, but the TP coming in. No way.
Are they? Okay,
no, they're not.
Looking for another dive. I'm like, no way they're looking for another dive. Here's the flash in from Snow. They do get a lot of damage onto Ventus. There's the stun going on him. Pickle Source in the area. They pick up the kill on the Ventus. Here goes Rumandu. He's going to be the next target. He does get a 2-man dazzle, but he is all by himself as a gorgeous Tarek. He's not going to make it out alive.
Not at all. And the worst part about all of this is that they are once again losing out everywhere. Even the middle lane, it's even in CS, but Pickle Sword just picked up so much right there. Got the kill as well as an assist, and that means a Hexdrinker. That means that he is almost unable to be taken down in this 1v1 if he does play it properly. None of the flashes that the washed up kids were able to burn away from Edge even mattered, because of what they've been doing to control these side lanes, both top lane and bottom lane, swinging massively in the favor of Edge, and it's just not going to stop anytime soon.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with the great macro play that we always see coming out from Edge. And here's Armia bullying around poor Van Cleef. Van Cleef's probably going to die on this one. There he goes. Solo kill going over to Armia in that top lane. And, God, it just... You gotta love seeing this really good macro play coming in from Edge. They are making sure to put the advantages where they need to, and it all stems from just the disrespect that Bandicoot gave to Washed Up Kid and to Armia in that first gank at the top lane in the counter gank.
And, oh, look at this. They're now gonna be putting pressure down onto Oxide 3 in the mid.
Oh, but they use the Fizz ult just as a zoning technique to make sure that Oxide can't go back to his tower. Because that's the new thing about that Fizz ult is it gets bigger the longer it flies, so it blocks off most of the lane. Oxide's trying to do what he can to just run away using the blast cone, get himself to the tower. Ooh, Armia wanted to look for it, but Van Cleef showed up. This might be a 4-man dive. They're looking for this. They're gonna go for it. Here's the headbutt in. They take out Oxide right away. Van Cleef in the next one. Double kill going over to Pickle Sword.
Good God, Edge. That's just not okay. You can't be walking around just slamming them up underneath their own turrets. They've got families! Come on, Edge. This is just brutal to watch.
Oh, no, in the steal!
Oh, are you kidding me?
Oh, my.
He's laughing! He's laughing!
Oh, my goodness. The Panda Opie does deserve to laugh a bit on that one. He got the...
It's an Infernal Drake.
Blind, yeah, he did. That was blind too. He completely had no idea. Just shot it out, hoping, and he got it. There's 1 hit left. It had 8 HP left on that Infernal, and it would have gone over to Wash Up Kids, but it was stolen by Panda Opa.
Well, game 1, it took them 12.5 minutes to get a 5,000 gold lead. They're almost to that point at under 9 minutes into this game, and when they took down that first turret of the game as well, huge gold influx. But that means Armia now is going to be on roaming control, roaming duty. He's just going into the enemy jungle by this bottom mid lane.
Man, he's going to look to bully around Ivern. The problem with Ivern is that he gets himself really weak from trying to take the jungle camps because how his passive works. He doesn't actually attack them, but he sacrifices health and mana in order to skewer them.
Yeah, not going to be a huge issue for him as we get later into this game. But once again, 3 in the mid.
Oxide. Yeah, and here's Washed Up Kid. They're using that ultimate to zone Oxide. They get the kill. Picklesword getting another kill. Here's the engage in the bot lane. They're looking for Caitlyn Snow and for Panda Opa. Are they going to be able to get the stun? Caitlyn's taken very low. He does headbutt back in just to try to keep Panda Opa safe. But he does drop Armia. He teleports in, looking for something more, trying to get over to Rumandu does flash in. They get the kill on the Bandicoot. Armia is now 4-0-0. Look at that. That was a shock flash hitting Ventus. They get another kill on to both Ventus and onto Rumandu. We saw Picklesore able to roam down, and they have 12 kills. It's not even 10 minutes.
It's not looking good, Magic. There's not much more to say than that. I'd love to analyze this game, but in reality, it is just a complete thrashing that Edge is putting onto Washed Up Kids, and Washed Up Kids up against these guys are living up to their name, I have to say, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I'll say at least they got a kill. They got 1 kill, Ventus being able to pick up that kill on the Caitlyn Snow. So they're not gonna have we're not gonna see a shutout today. But it's still not looking pretty.
I mean, the scariest thing is that, Washed Up Kids, they finished second in their group. We'd expect Edge to, beat everyone. They've been whooping on everyone, but they are just completely dismantling what was supposedly one of the top 8 teams in this tournament, and it is just completely ridiculous from Edge. I mean, yes, they're the better team, but the fact that they are just taking these guys apart so quickly and by so much is just really speaking so much to the true power of this team. And Oxide,
no, Oxide's gonna be
good lord,
on this one. Even with the exhaust,
he didn't even pop the Hex Drinker.
That's insane. He is so far ahead, 6-0-2 on this mid lane at Jays.
Yeah, now looks like they just want to knock out the third and final outer turret of the game. This is something that teams struggled doing within the first 20 minutes of the game, but Edge, they were almost going to be able to do that in 10. And Rumandu.
I was going to say, they're looking for a dive on Rumandu.
He knows he's there. There's a ward.
He does know Kid's there. Ventus is here to help him out. Ivern was trying to get into the back line. Get onto Panda Opa. They get the stun onto Panda. There's the dazzle. Are they going to be able to pick up the kill? Here's the ultimate coming in from both Washed Up Kid and from Rumandu, as we see Armia taking out poor Van Cleef in that top lane. Now we see Ventus. He's really low. Dazzle does help secure the kill onto Washed Up Kid. They do get that kill. Here comes Caitlyn Snow trying to get in. This shield from Ivern trying to keep him healthy. But here's Armia trying to get in onto that one. He's by himself, and Ventus was able to stay alive in that one. They get another kill. They actually get 1 for 3. Oh, I'm sorry. I take that back. 2 for 3.
Oh man, Picklesore, he's not even done just yet.
Oh, Picklesore's not just done. Here comes the teleport from Van Cleef. They want to get back in onto the engage. Bandicoot's trying to get himself out with that shield, but he does drop. Now it's a 3 for 3 across the map. Here's Oxide trying to see if they can put it back, but poor Van Cleef is so far behind. He doesn't actually show a presence. There's another kill. A fight that looked in the favor of Washed Up Kids is now just falling apart.
Yeah, well, you just gotta take those marginal advantages that you get and back away. Because if you continue to chase into these guys, they're still so far ahead of you. Even though you did get the kills, you still haven't spent that shutdown gold. And they don't even have their first items just yet. The Van Cleef has a Phage. That is it. At 13 minutes into this one, Ventus still hasn't been able to find his first real damage item in this. And you look at the other side, everyone on Edge has their first item and are pretty much done with their second.
Yeah, it is. Oh, this is brutal right now. And I honestly don't see any way, but short of similar to last game, short of a miracle, there's not really much of a way that Washed Up Kids can come back into this one. They had the miracle right there. They had the ability to come back into the game had they played the advantage and just kept playing the advantage there, forcing Edge to come to them, forcing them to make these really risky plays where it wasn't actually advantageous for them, and they could have come back into the game, but sadly they threw away that little advantage that they were given.
Yeah, another Infernal Drake, too, spawning in 5 seconds. Remember that Panda Oppa, he stole that one away the last time around. This time, Edge, they're the ones focused on this objective, and it is going to be a tall task here for Bandicoot to get into that pit and steal this one away.
Yeah, I highly doubt that that's going to happen. It was a miracle last time that it was stolen away by Panda Oppa, but it doesn't look like this. He's going inward!
Oh!
Now he's just got himself in a bad spot. He's going to flash out, but still drop from the bleed effect that you still have.
It's another Armia?
Armia? What?
Hello?
Hello? Hello? Armia?
Lag. That was just lag right there. That was just lag.
Yeah, but now he's like, okay, yeah, that was lag. Now let me kill you guys. The Dazzle not hitting, getting him stunned up. Exhaust is being used on him. Look at this. He's still tanking.
He's still alive.
He's still alive using the corrupting potion.
Oh, bye-bye, Ventus.
They're going to get the kill onto Ventus. Ventus drops now Van Cleef 4. Van Cleef fully around. He 6-0 on that Gnar, and he drops as well.
This is just sad to watch. This is actually just depressing to watch. Bandicoot now has to be so careful.
Yeah, he's trying to get out of there. He will be able to, using the bushes as well as his shield slug.
That's a big bush.
That is a very big bush.
Hey, if there's one thing Washed Up Kids can be happy with is that they are very good gardeners. You know, they're making the bushes. They're using the plants. They got into the pit. They didn't steal the dragon, but they used it at least. That was good from them.
Well,
you got to take the small advantages. We were just talking about this, Magic. Come on. Give them something. No.
I'll give them a pity clap.
All right, that's good enough, I guess, for this one. Not quite the 15-minute one some people were expecting, but Edge completely in charge here.
Right now, it's more of can you make it to 25 minutes if you are Washed Up Kids, not if you can win the game. But if you could just make it that far,
it's like Doombots, right? There's the countdown timer that you have to think about. Now Edge have fully activated their inner satanic Teemo side.
Yeah.
And I mean the issue is that Washed Up Kids still have to kill the Edge Nexus rather than just killing a giant Teemo running it down mid. But that's a good place to start at least.
Oh, Van Cleef, he's just getting it run. He's getting run down and just absolutely obliterated. And you know, it would actually be cool if Edge were good sports about this, and they said, yeah, you know what, Washed Up Kids, if you make it to 25 minutes, we'll surrender. We'll let you have a second shot at this game. But if I was them, I honestly wouldn't, because this is still a competitive game. You want to try to play to win. You want to try to come in. Here's the redemption being used by Bandicoot to try to see if they can get Washed Up Kid, but Bandicoot ends up dropping on that one. Rumandu's the next target, getting hit by the fish. And look at this. They're diving into the base at 17 minutes. They're looking. We do see Kid. He finally drops, but they get the kill on Ventus. And this is just an absolute stomp right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to end this game before the 20-minute mark.
That's what they're going to be trying to do, at least crack the base. And Armia, he's not done just yet. Oh, look at that damage.
Wow, that shock blast damage is monstrous. And this is 17 minutes and 30 seconds. They're taking out an inhibitor.
And they've got it. Yep, they will indeed. They can't even go for a Baron this time around because it is just that early in this match. And one thing I do want to point out, and I believe that Washed Up Kid was actually a part of the Washed Up Kids roster at one point. So maybe a little bit of a grudge match between these guys, that the Kid is definitely showing those guys that he is the true holder of the name, that he's the better of the Washed Up Kids, and with the full AP Fizz and those zoning sharks, he's doing it.
Yeah, really good plays. I do like how he is using the sharks. It's not about always hitting the target. It's about sending a message.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
He needs to send the message that, hey, don't go this way, because no matter what, you're going to die. So do you want to die by a fish, or do you want to die by this Triton and this giant man with a hammer?
Wait, Fizz is a fish, though. That's a fish. You can't tell me that's not a fish.
He's like a weird fish thing. Here comes the engage. They do have the ultimate. They take out Kid. Kid dropping really quick. Weird engage coming in on that one. But the ultimate's already been used by Rumandu. They get the kill on Rumandu. Here's Armia. He wants to get more. True shot barrage hits onto Ventus. Does a lot of damage. Here comes the engage. Caitlyn Snow picking up the kill on to Ventus. Now Van Cleef, or bullied Van Cleef, is going to be the next target. That was a weird dive.
That was all without Panda Opa. He's still running it down mid. He's not there just yet. But they're going for the pre-20-minute end, I believe. Yeah, onto those Nexus towers. Oh, no!
He gets the kill.
Oh, no.
Gonna get this. Yeah, they're going for that pre-20-minute end. They're going to be able to do it, I think. Here comes Engage. They get Oxide. Oxide is down. And they look at this. Pickle Sword the whole time has been wailing on this tower.
35 seconds.
Both Nexus towers. It's not even 20 minutes. There goes Bandicoot. Rubandu. He's going to be the next target, but he gets his fountain. Ventus trying to do what he can. But the poor rat, he's not going to be able to do enough. Armia is now getting the heal from Panda Opa as this game is over. 19 minutes and 43 seconds. 45 seconds. It is over. Edge taking the series, and it's just such a one-sided stomp.
There's really not that much you can say about it. Edge, they're moving on to the semifinals, and Washed Up Kids, better luck next time around. It was also, honestly, a really tough opponent to face off in the quarterfinals, and that can be said for a lot of these matchups, because all the #1 teams coming out of groups looked so dominant that if you're a #2 team, it is going to be an uphill battle for you, and Washed Up Kids just unable to overcome the monster that is Edge.
Yeah, and we even talked about this in the group stage, that when there's 2 teams that we really looked at, and well, 3 if you count Rift Kings too, because we really did look at Edge and Hayes, though. They had such dominance when it came to all of their games, and they've shown even here in quarterfinals how much ahead of everyone they are, because they have such a great macro play. They have such great communication coming in from everybody. They got a little overzealous at times. We saw they have weird dives where they probably could have not had those dives, won the game just as quickly, and had less deaths. But they really just wanted to bully around every objective they could. And it shows why we pinpointed them as a strong team, a team to watch when looking at this tournament.
And with that, we are going to take a little bit of a break before we get into our second and, coincidentally, our final quarter-final matchup here for the AOC Malta Cyber Series Masters. That one's going to be an exciting one. I hope you guys do stick around for it. After this break, we will be bringing you some intense action between Hayes and the Raving Raptors main squad. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this.
All right, pick up the game.
Yeah! Go! Pass the ball! You can look at the ball and walk backwards. You see, that's how you do it.
Watch TV anywhere for free on 4G. Now that's something worth shouting about.
What if we could change the way we see the world? Rediscovering ourselves through the people we meet and the moments we share. Each experience, every encounter, changes our perspectives, leading us to live life our own way. Money my way.